Hi and welcome to the last lesson on the mentorship program, and you'll be looking at relationships. So let me share the slides. Okay, we are going to be looking at relationships, both romantic and non-romantic. I'll try my best to do it, a bit fast so that we manage to go through all of them. This one might be a bit slightly longer, but I hope I'll make it to finish within 30 minutes. Yeah, so let's say a short prayer. Heavenly Father, I pray that you will speak to us, especially on relationships, how to handle relationships, and how to keep healthy relationships. We bless you, we honor you in Jesus' name. Amen. So yeah, let's just get started. These are the objectives for these session. We'll be looking at the value of relationships. We'll also look at how to navigate relationships. We'll look at communication and conflict resolution, thriving in singlehood, discerning God's will for a partner, and dating with purpose. Now, remember, it is romantic and non romantic relationships. So, the first part will look at mostly non romantic relationships. Then, after that, we'll start looking at the romantic relationship, especially at the end. So, what is the value of relationships? Their role, the friendships, family, and community. One is God designed us for relationships. We are social beings. Nobody is born to stay alone. We are social beings, so that is why we need people to relate with, right? That is one of the roles. The other thing is relationships help you grow, whether it is in your family, your siblings can challenge you, your parents can challenge you, but even your friends, the friends you have maybe in your workplace, in your school, if you're still in school, in church, those friends can help you grow as an individual. Because I even realized when you spend time with people who are constantly talking about going back to school, you've done your first degree, everybody around you is going for their second degree, you might find yourself reasoning like that. You desire to go, not because they have pushed you, but it is because of you being around them. It starts being like um what is it called, like a natural step to take, right? And that is where we are told, there's this saying that show me your friends and I'll show you the kind of person you are. So friends will influence you to growth, and that's why you need to be very intentional with the friends you keep, because how they behave, how they do things is how you start behaving. Also spiritual growth in that if you have friends who are born again and they are serious, they are committed to God, or your family is a Christian family, then it will influence you to grow. It will influence you to be more consistent with prayer. If your friends are going for keshas, night vigils, your family goes for night vigils, such you will find yourself wanting to get better and going for night vigils as well. So spiritual growth, that is where how relationships help us. Another thing is supporting challenges. So when you have challenges, and we talked about this in our previous lesson, when we were talking about mental health, emotional health, you need a support system. And I mentioned, for me, for some time, my mom was my major support system through teenagehood and early 20s. Before I got, of course, even in my early 20s, I had friends, especially in school, that I could open up to, and they helped me. So challenging times, you need friends, you need family, you need a community. That is one of the roles that a community or relationships handle. Another thing is a sense of belonging. When you have friends or you are close with your family, then you have a sense of belonging. And sometimes there's actually, I don't know whether it was a documentary or something, but there's something I watched some time back, and they were saying some of the people who end up in gangs, it is just for the sense of belonging. Because in a gang, as much as the initiation is so severe, Maybe someone has to be beaten up, others have to get a tattoo or whatever. But people go to those extents just for the sense of belonging. And most times, people who end up in gangs, and most times, not always, you find they have probably not had a community. Maybe they don't have a close knit family, or they don't have close friends. Maybe they feel neglected, and because they want that sense of belonging, they get into a gang. And that is where you find people now getting into drugs and all, just to have a sense of belonging. So a sense of belonging is one of the reasons why relationships are there, so that you have a family, kinda, yeah. Then, how what has happened here? Okay, all right. How do we navigate relationships successfully? One is you have to honor and respect the people you are relating with, whether it's friends or family. You need to honor your parents, honor and respect your siblings, right? And the friends you have. If someone feels you don't respect them, you don't see their value, they will walk away from you, right? They might not do it immediately, but with time, if you're not constantly you're constantly disrespecting someone, they'll walk away. So make sure you are honoring and respecting the people that God brings your way. Another thing is you need to practice patience and forgiveness. You need, just as you have to be patient with yourself for the challenges you're still working on, the weaknesses you're working on, you need to also be patient with other people, with their weaknesses and with their challenges as well. Then also forgive. You find yourself in conflict with friends and family, and you'll be looking at conflict resolution in the next slide. But one of the major things you need to learn is forgive. By now, if you have siblings, you have, brushed shoulders in the wrong way. You have probably been angry at each other here and there. Why you're still siblings and you're still talking is because you have learned to forgive. So forgiveness and being patient with people is one of the things you need to be good at. Another thing, even with forgiveness, you need to have healthy boundaries. So if someone has been constantly hurting you, constantly draining you, some people are just there to take advantage of you, to get money from you, to get resources from you, to get comfort from you, and they're just draining you. Some people just feed you with negativity. You can have boundaries. And as I said in one of the other lessons, forgiving someone doesn't mean you need to bring them close to you. You can forgive them, but still maintain your boundaries. If someone has not changed, they are not willing to change, then protect your energy, protect your peace, protect your emotional health by setting boundaries and deciding, I'll not be spending a lot of time with this person. I'll not hate them. I'll say hi when I have to. When I meet them, I'll say hi. We can hang out once in a while, but it is not someone I'll be talking to every single day. It's not someone I will invite into my space. Also, effective communication is one of the keys in navigating relationships. Try not to beat around the bush. If you have an issue, communicate. Also listen to people. People enjoy being listened to, so just be willing to hear other people's and their opinions, but also communicate your opinions. Nobody wants to just be the one who is always talking or the one who is always listening. Yeah, so have built on communication as a skill. So if you're an outgoing person, give the quiet person a chance to also talk, right? Also, another thing on how to navigate relationships, especially even in community and family, find ways to serve and to become a blessing to the people around you. Relationships, what I've actually realized, relationships are very costly, and for you to have good and healthy relationships, you have to be willing to put in the work. Just like even romantic relationships, you find for it to actually work, you have to put in the work, meet this person, talk to them, call them, you know, you have to be intentional about it. And that entails serving. not always trying to get something from the other person. Find ways to become a blessing to that person. Find ways to become a blessing to your family. Not always going home and picking things from your parents. When did you last give your parents something, just simple things like that? When did you last call your parents and gotten to know how they are doing, or are you always waiting for them to call? Right? So find ways to become a blessing and to serve your people you are relating with. Also, pray for your friends, pray for your family. You might not know what they are going through, but if you're close and you know what someone is going through, sometimes you might not be able to support financially. You might not be able to give them the answers they need to go through a challenge or, a season. Pray for them. Prayer goes a long way because God knows and understands our deepest desires, our deepest challenges. Yeah, so commit them into prayer. Now, going into conflict resolution, because as I've said, conflict is very common and it is not something we can run away from, especially in relationships, both romantic and non-romantic. So how do we navigate conflict? Number one is listen and understand, and we've even mentioned just before that communication is very key, and effective communication. So sit and listen to the other person and try to understand them. All right, try to get their point of view before you push your points, before you push what you have in your head. Listen and try to understand things from their point of view. Also, speak with grace and truth. Try to speak with kindness. Your tone, especially when you have a conflict, if you don't want the conflict to escalate, if you want to resolve things, you cannot be shouting at someone, you cannot be abusing them, using abusive language. No, speak with grace and truth. Also, making sure that you're honest with in the conversation. You're not telling lies, you are not gossiping and all. The other thing is manage emotions wisely. We handled emotional health. So emotional intelligence is very key. We also handle this, I think, also in career. So manage your emotions, right? Yeah. Another thing is address issues directly and respectfully, instead of going around and starting pulling people. Something has happened between you and your friend, or between you and a family member. Instead of now ganging people against this person by telling them what this person did, why not just go and handle it with them? Just tell them, I am offended because of 1, 2, 3. I didn't like what you did, right? And if they are not willing to change or apologize, you then forgive. We said forgiveness, right? And even here, one of the ways to handle conflict is forgiving and moving forward. So handle things directly. Don't start gossiping, but also be respectful. We've talked about speaking with grace. Another thing is seek resolution and not just being right. Don't focus on, I have to win this battle, I have to win it. There's a time God showed me that actually, the words that came to my heart is, I was wearing pain like a crown, because I knew I was right. I knew I had been hurt. So now, if someone asked me about it, I'd be like, they did it. They did wrong. They hurt me. They are the ones who did 1, 2, 3. Then God showed me, yes, you were hurt, but you're currently just wearing that pain as a crown. And I just decided, you know what, let me just forgive, let go. And I started praying for God to give me wisdom and to help me bring the relationship back. So don't just focus so much on being the one who is on the right. Seek resolution, find ways on how you can resolve issues. And how you can do this sometimes is seeking wise counsel. You can go to someone who is older than you, or someone who has already someone who is more mature, or a close friend who is a mutual friend, and seek support on how to um find a solution to whatever conflict you're having. All right, yeah. So you can also talk to someone and hear their view on how you can handle the conflict. But if you need someone to come in and become like a mediator, Get someone who is mature and a mutual friend, or someone who is neutral. Don't go to someone, sometimes you go to someone whom you know will side with you, right? Go to someone who is neutral if you have to. Now, moving to singlehood, I believe in your 20s, you could be still single. I'm hoping you are. But if you are not, well, let's just look at it. Thriving in singlehood. I've talked about thriving in singlehood so many times. So I'll just, just highlight some of the things you need to know. Is one, singlehood is a gift. It is not a season to feel like it's a burden. Oh, I can't wait to start dating. Especially if you just finished high school, you're still in campus. Build on relationship, build on friendships first before you settle in, before you start dating. I know there are a few people who date from first year all the way and they get married, but those are the minority. Most relationships in campus, in high school, don't last. And starting dating very early might just make it difficult for you to understand the other gender, might make it difficult for you to enjoy relationships, because the non-romantic ones, right? Because what happens once you start dating, you realize the opposite gender just, shies away from coming close to you, and you might not enjoy friendships outside your relationship with your person. That is just my opinion. You can do what you feel is best for you, but my opinion is, don't start dating early. Take time to build on friendships, and take singlehood as a gift, as a time that God has given you to thrive and build yourself. Another thing is pursue growth and purpose. We talked about realizing your purpose. Pursue also not just your purpose, but also constant growth. Growth in your career. We talked about some of the things you can do while you're still in school, while you're still a new graduate, fresh graduate, to build on your career. So focus on such things, on building yourself, on working on your finances, saving, investing while you are still single. Then focus on your God-given purpose before you get busy with the relationships. Relationships are very demanding. So before you know get yourself involved in one where it will be time consuming, taking a lot of your time, please focus on your purpose before you get there. All right. Then also find contentment in Jesus. As you pursue your purpose, make sure you're having a close relationship with God, because He will give you peace for your season, for your singlehood, right? For the season you are in. Another thing, maximize on this time. When you're still single, maximize that time. Because as I've said, when days, as days go by, you realize you become so busy with your career, you become busy, your purpose, you have more responsibilities, you get more responsibilities on family, on especially when you start dating, when you get married. Time is starts getting sucked. So maximize your time in your singlehood to have fun, to explore, try out things, try business here and there. You can try businesses while you're still in your singlehood before you get responsibilities. You can try new skills, you can navigate careers here and there when you're still single, because you don't have responsibilities. You can travel, even in ministry, you can travel and go serve in far and wide. You can travel for fun with your friends, right? Yeah, so have fun, explore, and enjoy your singlehood, because it won't last forever. Another thing about singlehood is you need to trust God's timing. God's timing is perfect. The fact that you're still single is because God has, seasons for us, and singlehood, as I've said, is a gift. So trust God that He knows what is best for you. And if He has not yet shown you who you are to date, who to get married to, this is a good time for you to work on building yourself, so that when you meet the other person, you are whole, you are well, You've built it, you've built, and you're still building, so they have something to come and plug into, because I believe they should also be building something. Also, resist societal pressure and peer pressure. Even if all your friends have gotten married, they are getting married, they're all dating right now in campus, everybody starts dating somehow. Resist the pressure. Also, societal pressure, especially when you leave school and you get a job, it's like everybody now expects you to be dating and getting married. Sometimes it doesn't happen immediately. So try to trust that God knows what is best for you, and don't allow external pressure to make you lower your standards, to make you start dating when you're not ready. Because trust me, when you date when you're not ready, or you just date anyone because time is ticking, you'll be frustrated in that relationship. And if that relationship gets into marriage, you'll have a very difficult time in marriage. Remember, when you get married, your friends will not be with you in in that house, in that marriage. Your family will not be with you in that marriage. You'll be you and your partner. And if this is not someone you'd want to spend the rest of your life, just the two of you, don't even bother. Just don't give in to pressure, because these people are the same people who will be saying, why did this person settle for someone who is not born again? Why did they settle for someone who is still struggling financially and such, someone who is not disciplined? They're the same people who will be talking. So don't give in to pressure. Another thing I've already mentioned, finding contentment in Christ. Wait actively, not passively. I've talked about you having fun, enjoying your life, pursuing your purpose. Let the other person find you actively doing something. And something I always say is, people who are active, they're more attractive compared to someone who is just seated and waiting. Surrender your desires to God. Let God, those times when you feel pressure, external pressure especially, go to God and tell Him, this is what I am going through right now. And also, desires is, what kind of person do you want? What kind of person would you want? Don't give God the person you already have seen and you start asking God, I would want this and this kind of, but because there's someone you've already seen. The best place to be is going to God with the desires that you have in your heart, without really focusing on a certain person. Also, avoid settling for less. I've already said that. Don't lower your standards because of pressure, because time is going, because everybody is dating, everybody is getting married, everybody expects you to be there. No, avoid settling for less. Yeah, but basically, enjoy your singlehood. Singlehood won't last forever. Now, discerning God's will in choosing a partner. Number one, you need to pray. Don't settle for someone before you have sought God. And sometimes, before even someone asks you out, you already have an idea that they might be interested in you, especially if you have been building healthy relationships. You have a community of friends through, relating with your friends, because God doesn't drop someone from heaven. The person will come from your circle of friends, your neighbors, your workplace, a friend of your friend. It is just around your community. So before even someone asks you out, chances are you'll have seen some signals that they might be interested in you. So start asking God and asking Him whether this is His will for you. Also, make sure that your partner is aligned with biblical values. It is someone who is born again. Your desires, the desires you have, we've said pray for the desires you have. Are they aligned with God's will? Someone who is born again, someone who is committed and they are serving and they are pursuing their God given purpose, you know, of a godly marriage. And then make thinking about is someone that is aligned with. Now we talk about red flags and you need to be aware of red flags, but also look at the green flags. Someone who is born again, someone who is kind, someone who is humble, someone who is pursuing growth constantly, someone who is disciplined. Look at those green flags, things that you would want to have in a partner, someone who can challenge you to be a better person. Those are green flags. So recognize when you're relating with friends, in your community, in church, at work, in your neighborhood. Look at the green flags within the people that you are viewing as potential partners. Then also the opposite, red flags. Yeah. Look at, if you see a red flag, please don't start giving excuses. Look at the actions. And that is why I've even put there, test the fruit. Take time to see the fruit in this person. The Bible says that we will know people by their fruits. It is not by their words, it is by their fruit, by their actions. Don't give excuses for someone because of what they are saying. Look at what they are doing. And trust me, weaknesses are, it's like they are amplified when you get into marriage. So if you're seeing a weakness that you can't stand, or something that is disturbing you about someone who is a potential partner, don't entertain, because you get into marriage, it gets amplified. All right. Also, seek for confirmation as you are praying. Ask God to give you a confirmation that this is the person. But most importantly, look for peace in your heart as God given you peace about this person. If you don't have peace in your heart about this person, there might be, challenges, people saying, oh, this is not it. Sometimes also listen to people, but also make sure that the people you are listening to are people who have your best interest at heart. And sometimes they will be genuine to tell you that this is not it. We don't see God in this. We don't feel God's will. This is God's will for you. And, just weigh and see whether these people are genuine. Don't just brush people off because they don't agree with what you're doing, they don't agree with the person you have chosen. But also look for inner peace from God, inner peace that this is it. That one is very important, but you can as well ask God to confirm in other ways through His Word, and other ways. All right, yeah, how God speaks to you. That is why your spiritual growth is very important, because by the time you get to asking God about a partner, you should know how God communicates to you. All right, yeah. So seek confirmation, and most importantly, peace. And confirmation could come from family and close friends. Just let them see the person, and weigh and hear them out. You don't have to necessarily agree with them. Sometimes people are just not sincere. Sometimes it's just tribe, and oh, this person is not as rich as we would have wanted and such. you know just weigh. All right. Now, when it comes to dating, you have to date with intentionality. And number one is by honoring God in your dating. Make sure that everything you're doing while you're dating honors God. It is not something that will lead you into sin. We always say that, simple things like making sure you're not meeting in enclosed places so that you end up in um fornication. Just basically ensure that how you are dating honors God, because another thing about honoring God in your dating and making sure that Christ is the center of your relationship is that if you did not end up in fornication, your in case you break up, because not every relationship ends up in marriage. In case you break up, it is easier to break up with someone that you are not sexually intimate with. Otherwise, if you are intimate with this person, you might find yourself dragging the relationship into marriage just because of a soul type, because you are connected. So honor God with your dating, so that this relationship wouldn't work, you still end up going and moving on as a whole, person. On the other hand, honoring God with your relationship will honor God in your marriage. You'll be able to work with other young people and work and guide them through how to navigate a healthy relationship, right? Also, clarify your intentions. Don't just date for the fun of it. Have a clear intention that we are dating for marriage. We are not dating for to have fun. We are dating with a purpose. We are dating that in the next 3 2 years we will get married. And that is why I was saying I don't encourage people to date while you're first year in campus. You've not even gotten to college. Please. That means if you start dating that early before you get into college, you have maybe 4 years, then another 2 years, to get settled in your career, unless you plan to get married while you're still in school. I've seen people who have gotten married while they're still in school. If that is your intention, well and good, but make sure it is clear you're dating to know one another, especially to get into marriage, not to enjoy, just have fun, watch movies, eat this man's food, all that. No. Or to look good walking around school or church with this person. When intentions are not clear, you'll end up hurting each other. Also, build a strong foundation, and a strong foundation will be built through friendship. And why actually honoring, when I was talking about making sure that you're not getting into fornication, is because physical intimacy steals away the chance to build friendship in a relationship. And friendship is very, very important when you get married. When you get married to a friend, marriage is easier. So build a strong foundation for your marriage by being good friends. Also, preparing for marriage, being intentional in preparing for marriage. Discuss the important things, children, how you'd want to handle um, finances, how you'd want to handle your extended family, and all that. Right? Prepare mostly for marriage, especially when you have already settled that this is the person I would want to get married to. Also, pace the relationship. And what I mean by this is don't rush. Don't rush the relationship. Take your time to know this person. I have seen a lot of especially in the West. I don't know whether in Africa we do that. Maybe we do. Okay, yeah, I have actually remembered there are people here, even in my country, people who have dated for just a month or two and they want to get married. Take time, take time to know the person so that you're able to test the fruit. We've said, people by their fruit. You can only know that through dating for some time. Don't rush, but also don't take too long. All right. Take time to just know this person, know their character. And honestly, if you didn't know this person, maybe you are not in school together, you've not been in church together, be intentional in taking time. Sometimes you might end up marrying someone you're already friends. That's fine. That one is not someone you need to date for a year, big or 2 years or 3 years. You might just end up just planning the wedding in a year, get married in 2 years. You're already okay. But if you didn't know each other before, pace, take your time, just take your time, know this person. You don't want surprises when you're already married, right? Yeah. But also preparing for marriage, seek godly counsel. Make sure you are having mentors. Make you've as I said, introduce the person to your friends, of course, close friends, but also mentors, couples who have gone ahead of you. Just let them know you're dating this person, and then they start guiding you to prepare for marriage. Also, your family, if you have a good relationship with your parents and maybe older siblings, talk to them. They are able to also guide you, especially on marriage and how to date well. So, most importantly, when you're dating, the main aim is to know one another and also specifically prepare yourselves for marriage. And preparing for marriage is not preparing for the wedding day. Wedding day is only at most 5 hours. And if you have a night or an evening thing, maybe 8 hours, and that's it. Then you get into marriage. So take most of your time in preparing for marriage. Your discussions should not just be entirely on preparing for a wedding day, but preparing for marriage. All right, and that marks the end of this lesson. The assignment for this lesson is one, how can you practice contentment in your current season, whether you're already dating or you're single, you're still single. Another thing, what boundaries do you need to set or strengthen in your relationships, whether it's a romantic relationship or non-romantic? What are some of the boundaries you need to put in place? Also, what quality do you currently need to build to better your relationships? Do you need to be more intentional with communication? Do you need to be more clear when you're talking? Do you need to work on your tone of your voice? Do you need to be more generous? What do you need to build to be a better friend, to be a better sister or brother, to be a better partner when it comes to a relationship, to be a better child to your parents? All right, yeah, what do you need to do to become a better person, maybe in your community, in your circle of friends, even in church? What do you need to build? All right, what quality do you need to build right now? And with that, I hope you have been blessed. I've tried to contest this, but if you are interested in more when it comes to romantic relationships, especially, I took a whole year, 2020 for majorly I handled relationships and also how to prepare for marriage. There's a whole, several playlists. Also thriving in your singlehood, there's a whole playlist on that. Just check out my YouTube channel, you'll get more content on relationships. I did a whole year, I focused on relationships, so check them out. Even on preparing for your wedding, check them out in the YouTube channel. Just look at the playlist, you'll see a lot of content on relationship, especially romantic. And with that, I hope you have been blessed. May God help you. May God help you to thrive in your singlehood. If you're single, help thrive in your relationship. If you're dating, and even when you get to dating, also thrive in your non-romantic relationships, in your family, and also with your friends. And with that, may God bless you. And yeah, continue thriving in whatever season you are in. See you.